Hello, traders. I hope all of you are doing well. This is your Nifty Guy. Welcome back to today's episode of Decoding Nifty with me. In today's session, we'll take a detailed look at the Nifty charts, discuss the important support and resistance zones, and go through the possible scenarios for tomorrow's market. I'll also share my trading plan and the key factors I'll be keeping an eye on so you are well prepared before the opening bell. If you find this breakdown useful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. And on that note, we'll jump straight to the charts. And as usual, the video will be divided into two parts. First, we'll be discussing about what we did in the markets today versus what we had planned yet. And in the second part, we'll be discussing about what we are planning for tomorrow. So today was an extremely dull day, as I had already mentioned that since yesterday was a good trending day, we saw a good move in the markets. The next day can be a sideways day, right? But then we had planned to go long above this particular high. The best possible trade would have been a flat opening, breakout, pullback, a long trade. But then the markets opened with a gap up, went into sideways for some time. This was the pullback that we needed, the red candle, as well as followed by a good inside bar. This is where I entered into the first trade on the long side. Now, the first trade, and actually the only trade for the day, this is what I had taken. And I had entered with lower quantities, as I had already mentioned that again, I am expecting some sideways price action. And that was the reason why I entered with the lower quantities than anticipated. And as you can see, the markets actually went sideways post that. Now, I exited this particular trade around this when this low was taken out. So this high was taken out, this pullback. So market structure, try to understand the concept of market structure, right? So you have taken a long trade, right? This was the pullback post which you have taken a long trade. So new high has been created. This low is okay, right? Formation of certain red candles is okay as long as this particular low does not breach, which is also actually your stop loss. But then post this the markets went ahead, did not fail, well, did not break the previous high, but actually made a new low as compared to the previous swing. So again, the structure has changed on the 5 months time frame. That is the reason why I exited around here with a very, very minor loss, something which is well within my risk limits. And post that, as you can see, the market was extremely, extremely sideways. The one trade which I took today ended up in stop loss, and between 11 to 12, again, see, looking at the markets which are extremely sideways, I turned off my system and I went off to sleep. Now, today was a holiday for us because there's a state holiday of Vishwakarma Puja here. So many of you might not be aware of it, but then there's this puja about the Lord of Machines, which is predominant in the eastern part of the country. And because of that, my office was also closed. So I was at home today the entire day. And once the markets were boring and sideways, I turned off the system, spared myself some screen time, and went off to catch some good sleep. So, and as you can see, the markets were again kind of dull and extremely sideways. Now, for tomorrow, again, there is a event in the US today, which is the Fed interest rate decision, which will be announced around midnight, 11:30, 12, between 11:30 to 12:30. And a lot of the US market price action tonight will be depending on the outcome of that. The market is actually factoring in a rate cut, but in case if Fed Chairman Powell does not give us the rate cut, we can see some negative sentiments in the market, which can also reflect in the Indian markets. But more or less, it is factored in that, okay, this particular event will be, rate cuts will be there, interest rate will be cut down. And that was something which will be positive for the US market as well as for the Indian market. So again, I believe the silent silence that was there in today's market was also because event was impending. But nonetheless, we have to be prepared for everything. And another thing that we see today, even though the price action was sideways, we see a good bullish candle, right? We see a continuation, a follow through, which has come back after this particular breakout came out yesterday. Today, we have also got a follow through candle, right? Now, try to understand this is something which is this was 6 weeks of down move. So if we look at it on a weekly time frame, this was the entire 6 weeks of down move. Now, this was an important resistance. The first time we approached it, we took a resistance and a pullback so hard that we almost reached near the lows, right? It was a very deep retracement, but then followed by it, we have actually broken up above it and we are sustaining above it. Now, the only problem with a bull market, which I feel is majority of the move comes in via gaps, wherein there will be gap up opening, and then on an intraday basis, will not be getting any good viable trades. But then again, that is something that we have to make peace with, and whatever happens, we do not have control over it. We simply have control over what we do, and that is something which we will be planning definitely. And yes. So now, important thing to keep in mind, why am I not deleting this particular thing? This was the weekly fib resistance turn support, and I will also change the color to green so that we don't get confused, right? So on a lower time frame, now this level will again act as a support. For tomorrow, I'll keep the plan of action very, very simple. Above today's high with a pullback, we are long. Below today's candle, we will be short. In between this is an entire no trading zone for me. Now I also need to look at the important fib level, which I'll hold from these levels till today's high, which comes around to roughly these levels. Now try to understand the importance of this particular zone, right? This is a weekly resistance which has now turned into a support. So we'll be anticipating some resistance or support around here, not resistance, but support. And this also is the fib level on a lower time frame. Any positive price action around here should be used to take a long entry. Now, my biasness for now is towards the trades on the long side. So, any trades on the long side that I get, I will be going in with full quantities. Any trade on the short side, I will be going in with half my regular quantities. So, this is the only difference that will be there in my trading setup for tomorrow. Key focus again has to be done on an intraday basis only. Stick to intraday scalping. Uh, VIX is not rising, of course. VIX will not be rising in an if the markets are bullish, if there is no fear in the market. But then that is again something we need to be cautious about, and that is the reason why I'm asking you to be quick with your entries and quicker with your exits. Do not hold on to trades for long, because the longer you're going to hold on to the trades, the more it is going to hurt you, especially in the option buying trades. Option selling, everything is good. Now, another key thing that I wanted to point out with today's price action is a concept called RSI cool off. Now, today, if you see, markets actually were sustaining near the day's high, kind of in a sideways range, but RSI slowly drifted below. Now, had the RSI been making new highs, and this being making new lows, that is something which is an RSI divergence, negative divergence. But market being in a sideways range and RSI still going down, that is something which I like to call as RSI cool off. Now, what does RSI cool off mean? It simply means, so yeah, with yesterday's price action, RSI is always is again at the highs, and if we are to go further up, we cannot go up without the RSI correcting. But the markets are not willing to correct. The markets are strong. There can be good buying that can be seen in the markets. So that is in those scenarios where markets actually go sideways, wherein RSI goes down. It basically cools off the steam which it has generated by being in the overbought zone, right? And that is reason where it cools off, so that with it can go ahead, continue, the markets can continue ahead with RSI in tandem, right? I hope the point is clear without getting confused too much. In case if it is not clear, do not pay attention. It is nothing too serious, or actually no trades are based on this. This is just a RSI based concept that I have. So don't sweat much about it, even if this is going way above your head. But then again, this is something which I perceive as an RSI cool off, and that is the reason why I will be more focused and biased towards the trades on the long side. So yes, it will be this will be the plain simple plan. This should be a no trading zone. Any activities around this zone should be avoided. Right? So that wraps up our analysis for tomorrow's market. I hope this breakdown helps you plan your trades with more clarity. If you found value in this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to Your Nifty Guy, and drop your views in the comments. I would love to hear your take. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Trade safe, trade smart. Cheers, and thanks for tuning in.